Good afternoon. This is NTV at 1. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Now, Sergeant Kipyegon Kene was killed by a single bullet. According to the autopsy, the bullet entered his body through the chin and exited from the forehead. Kene's family is, however, not satisfied with the results, as it has not yet been established whether it was suicide or homicide. The body of the officer who was assigned to the Harambee House Annex was discovered last week. Mel Biendo with more details.
Wednesday morning, the post-mortem of the late Sergeant Kipyegon Kene was conducted at the Chiromo Funeral Parlor. Emotions were visible as his family and relatives gathered awaiting the results. Contrary to earlier reports, the family believes their kin did not take his own life. The post-mortem took several hours. Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odor, Dr. Richard Njoroge, a family doctor, and two pathologists representing Kene's family, DCI detectives attached to the homicide unit, were all present.
The late Kene died because of a single contact gunshot on the wound, which entered the body through the chin and exited on the forehead. What we are yet to establish is whether it was suicide or homicide.
The government pathologist also confirmed that the Jericho pistol used was of low velocity, meaning the bullet traveled at a very low speed and was in direct contact with Kene's chin at the moment of discharge.
We've taken samples for toxicological analysis. We've taken also swabs from the hands and where we saw the injuries for any soot from the firearm. Yes.
Further results revealed that Kene's body had no marks of struggle nor any bruises except the bullet wound.
The body was starting to undergo decomposition, so we'll give it roughly maybe 1 to 2 days.
Detectives have been trying to reconstruct the scene following reports that there had been interference and that the first officers to visit the scene may have removed the body unprofessionally. Part of the investigations will involve ballistic analysis to establish whether the gun recovered at the scene and which had officially been issued to the deceased officer was the same gun that discharged the bullet that killed Kene. He was attached to Deputy President William Ruto's Harambee House Annex office and was found dead after missing for 2 days. Sources reveal that it was Kene who received former Sports Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa in the company of foreigners into the DP's second-floor office on the day Echesa was arrested over the 39 billion shilling fake arms tender.
Tomorrow, the government pathologists together with DCI homicide detectives will go back to the scene of the crime at Imara Daima Estate.
Mel Biendo, NTV.
Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odor and a team of DCI detectives are at the Imara crime scene where late Sergeant Kipyegon Kene's body was found. This after the autopsy report was released yesterday showing that Kene died from a single gunshot wound from his chin to his forehead. The family's pathologist is also at the scene with detectives trying to piece together whether Kene's death was as a result of suicide or homicide. Mel Biendo has been following the story, as you've seen earlier on, and now joins us from Villafranca Estate in Imara Daima. Mel, if you can hear me, what is going on?
Gladys, we've been here from about 10:30 a.m. when the team, together with Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Odor, DCI detectives from the homicide unit and forensics, as well as the family pathologists, were here, and they came in at that time, and they're still at the crime scene. It's actually the house right behind me, as you can see, and there's the crime scene line right there, and that's where Sergeant or late Sergeant Kipyegon Kene was found dead. As you can see, there's actually a main house. As you enter the house, there's a main house first, and then there's a servant's quarter that's actually behind the main house, and so that's where the late Sergeant Kene was living. And of course, we've also been told that those who live in the main house have been asked to vacate from the moment this area became a crime scene. So they were asked to vacate up until investigations will be done. And so we are still waiting to hear if perhaps Dr. Johansen Odor will address the media together with detectives from the DCI. We do know that they are looking at whether late Sergeant Kipyegon Kene died from suicide or from homicide, and so we're waiting to hear if they will get to know that. We do know that investigations should be able to establish that. Yesterday, the post-mortem results were announced. They were released by Dr. Johansen Odor, and we were told that late Sergeant Kene died from a single gunshot wound, and in fact, he also mentioned that it was in direct contact from his chin to his head, to his forehead rather, and so we're just yet to find out whether really it was a suicide attempt that led to his death or whether this was a homicide. We also learned yesterday from the post-mortem results that there were no other bruises, no other injuries at the time when Sergeant Kene died, and so we're told that it was just that single gunshot wound. But Dr. Johansen Odor told us yesterday that they'll be here today, and that's exactly what's happening. They came today, and so we just want to actually find out from them, perhaps when they are done, just what they may have found. Remember, there's a point where at the time when Sergeant Kene was found here last Thursday, it's actually exactly a week from then, we were told that there's a possibility that the first officers who were here may have interfered with the crime scene, especially with how they removed his body. And so we will probably find out if that is the case, if perhaps what they find now, given that it's still a crime scene, if perhaps what they will find is different from what the first officers who are here found. So we're still here, Gladys, just waiting to hear exactly what will happen. And this has actually taken quite a long time. It's about 4 hours now. Let's wait and see just what will happen.
Thank you, Mel Miendo. Looking forward to those details, even as we look forward to understand what led to the death of late Sergeant Kipyegon Kene. Now to other day stories. The first stage of public participation over the Nairobi County Government Transfer of Power to National Government deal is set to kick off this afternoon at the Nairobi County Assembly. The public participation, which will also involve other stakeholders, including the cabinet, is expected to last for at least 1 week. Seth Olale with more.
Members of Nairobi County Assembly will for the first time debate over the transfer of governance involving 4 key departments from the Nairobi County Government to national government through a deal that was penned at State House. The discussion will mark the first round of public participation over the deal.
I believe it was done within the law, even though we say that we were not consulted, but we cannot question the responsibility of the president, which is actually anchored in law.
Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, whose ministry will spearhead and coordinate the transfer of roles from Nairobi County to the national government involving county executives and principal secretaries, said that all stakeholders will be involved in the process.
It must be subjected to public participation. This will be an opportunity given from today for the public to review the state agreement, which has been gazetted in the Kenya Gazette, and to do so within the following 7 days. And we will be inviting recommendations so that we are able to get feedback from the people of Nairobi and the people of Kenya.
Senate Minority Leader James Orengo had warned against the deal skipping the required regulation process before being implemented.
When there's a transfer of power from the national government to the county assembly, to the county government, it is the National Assembly which is informed. And when it is from the county government to the national government, it is the county assembly which is informed.
Despite Mike Sonko brokering the governance deal with the national government, he still has a case to answer in the 357 million shillings corruption case implicating him and 16 other county officials. Seth Olale, NTV.
And to something else that's also ongoing, lawyers have kicked off a nationwide exercise to elect a new Law Society of Kenya president to replace Ellen Gishuhi, the new president, will serve a 3-year term from 2020 to 2022. The race has attracted 4 candidates, 2 men and 2 women. Silas Apollo now gives us an update from the Supreme Court.
Yes, Gladys, voting here started sometimes around after 9 a.m. in the morning, and lawyers are voting countrywide. They're expected to vote in their president of the Law Society of Kenya, who will be replacing Alan Gaishui, who is supposed to be, the time is supposed to be ending this year. And so the exercise has been kicking on. Lawyers have been coming in to vote and moving in to vote. The race so far has attracted 4 candidates, 2 female candidates and 2 male candidates who are gunning for the position of the LSK president. A lot of issues have been raised, a lot of concerns have been raised. The most poignant issues in terms of the robust fight for democratic space, the space that the Law Society of Kenya had occupied previously in terms of fighting for space, fighting for freedom, fighting for the multi-partyism, and that over the years that fight has gone down, that over the years LSK has become more of a toothless bulldog, if you may. And so right now I'm joined by some of the candidates who are gunning for the presidency of the Law Society of Kenya, 2 ladies and 1 gentleman, just to speak to us about what they think has been the journey so far for LSK and what are their vision in terms of the fight for the freedom of course, of lawyers and for the space of lawyers, and even for other gains in the constitution going forward. And I'll speak one. The first one is Maria Mbeneke, who is running for the presidency of the Law Society of Kenya. Thank you for joining us on NTV at 1. A lot of concerns have been raised. What is your view in terms of the position of Law Society of Kenya currently, and also going forward? What is your vision in terms of awakening the giant, if you may?
Yeah. The Law Society is at a critical point in this time of the nation because we are currently talking about the constitutional order, reviewing the constitution that was passed in 2010, and there's talk, different quarters talking about either Punguza Mzigo or the BBI or just the necessary constitutional amendments. So as a country, we are at a critical moment, and for the Law Society, this is a very, very good opportunity for us to get involved because we are the ones who are tasked with guiding the judiciary, the government and the public on all matters law, especially because that's one of our objectives under Section 4. So for me, going into this year, 2020, and as president of the Law Society, if I'm elected, I will be spearheading our role as a society which is critical in ensuring that we have the right laws looked at in terms of constitutional amendments. We want to ensure that none of the state organs is held captive by the other, so that all the checks and balances are in place. Case in point, the judiciary is under attack. If you look at the funding for the judiciary has been withheld. If you look at some of the amendments that have been passed in the legislature that affect the public and especially lawyers and the shrinking space that we are experiencing as a profession, it is due to some of the legislation that has passed in the House. So the Law Society is behoved to take a pivotal role and ensure that we take back this space that we created actually in the run-up to the multi-party state that we are. Lawyers played a very critical part. We created spaces for not just lawyers but other professionals. And it is up to us now to guide the public in this dispensation that we have.
Okay, thank you. And since we're running out of time, I may just ask one question to you and one question to Harvey. Your question, the accusations that LSK has been infiltrated by politics, and so that is one of the reasons why it's not been doing its mandate quite well. In a second, what is your take on that?
That's very interesting, and we cannot run away from any accusations that have been leveled so far. And its perception, it could be by conduct, but I can tell you one thing: the kind of leadership that we want is not that which is infiltrated by outsiders, and that you can see very clearly that some of us running are not affiliated in any political parties, including myself. And that is the kind of change we want to bring to this society, because it's not happening now. It's something that has been happening for time, for many, many years. If it was not infiltrated by the opposition, it was by the sitting government.
Okay.
And that is the kind of leadership.
And finally, to Harvey, because I'm running out of time, there have been accusations about training of lawyers, even from the bar exams that we have, the Kenya School of Law. How do you look forward in terms of addressing that?
The Law Society has its representatives to the Kenya School of Law, and reports have indicated massive failure. And this is an issue of great concern because it speaks to the quality of advocates that we bring into the market. Now, as president of the Law Society, if elected, I will ensure that the Law Society plays a fundamental role in the training of advocates, way from the university to Kenya School of Law, pupillage, and even during the initial stages of their practice. As we are voting now, may I just encourage any of those of our colleagues who haven't voted yet to turn up in large numbers and come and vote, because we need to restore the lost glory of the society.
Thank you very much, Wakili. There, Gladys, you've heard it. The candidates are expressing, of course, giving out their manifesto ahead of the voting that is going on today. We expect the voting to end at around 5 p.m. Then the counts will start coming in from across the country. We'll be keeping tabs just to let you know what happens. And of course, the big news, who is going to be the next president of the Law Society of Kenya, and what is going to be their vision going forward in terms of reawakening the giant who's been asleep for quite some time. But for now, back to you, Gladys.
Silas Apollo speaking to us from the Supreme Court. Of course, looking forward to those results even as they start trickling in after 5 p.m. Remember, this is an exercise that's happening across the nation and it's being conducted by the IEBC. Now, close to 1,000 families in Nyando constituency in Kisumu County have been displaced by floods caused by increased water levels on Lake Victoria. The waters have damaged more than 500 homes, forcing residents in places such as Kathiambo, Nduru, Ombaka and Ogenya to flee their homes. Okokuse is currently in Nyando and joins us live with the latest from the flood zone.
Well, Gladys, right here where I am is called Kathiambo, one of the areas that is hard hit by this flooding, which began late last year. So that's sometime around November, and waters from Lake Victoria have been increasing their levels and inundating most of the homes here and displacing hundreds of people and families, as I've mentioned there in your intro, as you've mentioned there in the introduction. And of course, here I'm joined by some of the residents. George Owoth, who is going to shed a little light on what exactly is happening and the sort of help that they need from the authorities. George.
Yes. Right now I'm in the heart of Nyamuru Primary School along Kathiambo in Kathiambo sub-location. Yeah. We've been hit by the water that has risen from the lake, and so many homes have been hit. There are a lot of damages, people have been displaced, and there is nothing that can be done right now. We are only requesting the county government, even the national government, or anybody who is in a position to help us. People like you said, Red Cross, to come to our rescue. Toilets, there are no toilets. We don't have safe waters for drinking. We don't have nets. We don't have tents where those who have been displaced can be accommodated. Yeah. We are requesting anybody who is in a position to come and help us, to provide us with safe water, provide us with water guards, provide us with mosquito nets, because there are a lot of mosquitoes right now. We want temporary nets where those who have been displaced can be taken to raised places so that they can camp there. There is also animal-human conflict, yeah, where hippos are now raiding the places, invading the homes. Mm-hmm. That is posing a lot of dangers to us. Mm-hmm. So as at now, we are still calling people like the county government. We've done this several times, but nobody has come to our rescue. We have the area MCA, Mr. Oikopete. A lot of calls have been made to him, but he's not doing anything. We have the county governor, Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, who we have met several times. We've sent people to go and talk to him in regard to this. Nothing has come forth. There is the area MP, Jared Okello. This guy is not coming to our help. So many times he has been called. He only provides. The other day I was told he went to Prime.
Are there any sort of interventions that can be made right now just to rectify whatever problem that you people are going through?
Right now we are only looking for a long-term solution, because as of now nothing can be done. If at all they can come up with the idea of building dams for us around here, if they can do desilting around here and even doing dikes, that can really help us, because even the previous government, we were hit in 2014 with the same calamity, and the former governor came to our rescue. And the dike was done around here, and that one prevented a lot of water from interfering with the people that were really living around. Correct. So such things are the things that we have been calling for, but the current government is not in a position to help us. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Gladys, that is George Owoth, one of the residents here in Kadhiambo, Nduru. As I've mentioned there, this is one of the areas that has been worst hit by the current flooding that is going on here in Nyando constituency. Remember, there are other areas too. We are talking of Ogenya, which is another place next, just in the neighborhood of this sublocation, which is also affected, and hundreds of families have been forced to flee their homes, which are currently submerged by the waters that have been coming from the lake. They say that the situation usually gets worse as from 3 p.m. going onwards when the tides in Lake Victoria start to rise. So this is a story that we'll still be keeping our eyes on, just to find out how the residents are coping. Of course, he's mentioned quite a number of issues there regarding the kind of humanitarian help that they need and the solutions, possible solutions to this particular problem. Back to you, Gladys.
Oko Kusa coming to us from Nyando constituency in Kisumu County, where over 1,000 residents have actually been displaced by the rising waters of Lake Victoria. We hope this will help them get them the help they need rather. Now to other day top stories, and electricity distributor Kenya Power has this morning conducted a joint operation with the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the DCI, targeting illegal connections in Tasia, Nairobi. Victor Kiprop is standing by on location with the latest. And Victor, we understand that at least 100 Kenya Power staff have been fired in connection to the illegal connections. Is this the case?
Yes, that's right, Gladys, and the operation you are talking about is still ongoing at the moment. It began early this morning. It's been a very, very, very busy morning for officers from the electricity distributor, that's Kenya Power, and members and officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. The Director of Criminal Investigations, George Kinoti, the CEO of Kenya Power, Bernard Ngugi, was also here, and as well as the Cabinet Secretary for Energy, Charles Keteru, were here all morning to supervise and oversee this operation to kind of deal with the illegal connections that have been a huge menace right here in Tasia, in Eastlands area. And of course, so far, as you've rightly mentioned, 100 members of staff or employees of Kenya Power are reported to have already been sacked or sent home over the last 1 year in connection with this issue, which of course points to an inside job rather. And so far since morning, I don't know if we can get you the pictures, but more than 10 transformers serving this entire area have already been uninstalled or removed by officers from Kenya Power, of course under supervision by the police. And of course it's part of what the MD and the Cabinet Secretary said is part of an initiative to rather seal the revenue loopholes which have affected the performance of the electricity distributor, that is Kenya Power. Remember, yesterday the Kenya Power released their results, and there was a 92% drop in earnings from 3.2 billion shillings to 262 million shillings. The company's revenues had also grown by only 1%, pointing to, of course, the presence of several revenue loopholes which they are planning to plug using this operation. And of course, despite this operation, there is some effects. Of course, that means this entire area is going to remain in darkness, and the residents are complaining that it's going to affect their daily operations, from security to businesses. They say that this really has to have another way of solution, otherwise they are going to incur a lot of losses. And we have one of the residents of this area is going to tell us his name and how this operation, of course, has affected them. Tuambie jina na utuambie vile hii operation imeweza ama itaweza kuaffect maisha ya wakazi wa hapa.
Okay. My name is Charles. Mimi ni mwanabiashara area hii. Sijafurahia hiyo vile wamefanya hiyo operation yao. Operation haina shida yoyote. Ni vizuri vile wamefanya, lakini bado wangetupea notice. Kuna watu wako na fridges, wamebeba transformer. Kama wangekuja waangolee wale wanatubia samasa, tungeelewa. Watu wengi sana sisi tunalipia stima. Wangekuja wangolee wenye wanatumia kinyume na vile wanataka, lakini kuja kungoa transformer bila hata notice. Watu wengi sana wako na fridges. Kuna mtu anauzanga maziwa, ameitisha maziwa kutoka mbali. Kuna mtu ana fridge ya nyama, amejaza nyama zake. Kila mtu ako na biashara yenye anafanyia stima. Kuna mtu wa kinyosi, kuna mtu wa welding na analipia stima. Na lakini sisi kwetu tumeona wametufanyia kinyume kabisa. Na hii monopoly ya Kenya Power ndio shinda. Afadhali tungekuwa na kampuni nyingine juu saa hii Kenya Power ingetoa yao, ile kampuni ingekuwa hapo tunainyemelea. Watu wekea stima in another way. Lakini hawajatufanyia vile inafaa. Hakuna utu kwa hiyo kitu yenye wanatufanyia saa hii.
There you have the residents here, of course, giving their frustrations with the ongoing operation. What he didn't mention also is that it has an effect on security. More mama mbogas and border operators will not have the luxury of operating late into the night. And of course, they say that the mistake is not theirs because they pay their rent properly, and it is their landlords who are responsible for this kind of illegal connections, and they are the ones who should suffer the consequences of their actions, Gladys.
Victor, Kiprop coming to us from Tasia here in Nairobi, and residents there are in crisis following the installation or actually the removal of power supply in that area due to illegal connections, and it really has left them in a very compromising situation, especially when it comes to security matters and business matters. A lot more coming from that area even as the day proceeds on. For now, we take a short break. We'll be back with more stories.
And this is how it connects us.
At APSA, we believe in working with you to find a way to get things done. We call this Africanacity.
The way this position is tiring. Nimechoka. Who's that?
Call for long at 1 shilling 50 cents to all networks. Dial star 544 hash to subscribe. Telkom, moving with you.
Molfix breathable surface developed with airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I've found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
New Blue Band peanut butter. Made with 100% pure peanuts. And a good source of omega-6. Grow healthy and happy kids with New Blue Band peanut butter.
Hanging out, it's my summer, got my squad, we go harder, we got a little bit of feel good now. It's my let's have a little bit of feel good now. Be myself, that's my secret. Stop and chill, best believe it. This is the weekend, so we're getting down.
This Friday, 28th February, Churchill Show returns to the heart of the city, Hilton. It's the Churchill Show Golden Edition live recording. Join Churchill and all your favorite comedians for a night of fun and laughs. Ticket goes for 2,000 shillings. Get your advance ticket by dialing *229 *29#. Friday, 28th February. It's the Churchill Show Golden Edition live recording at the heart of the city, Hilton. See you there.
Thank you for staying with us. Commercial banks are now adopting more flexible loan terms in a bid to woo micro, small and medium enterprises as competition after the repeal of interest rate caps tightens. In the latest arrangement, Family Bank has now entered a partnership with Simba Corporation, providing 95% asset financing with a 60 months repayment period as it targets the market segment looking to enhance its logistics capabilities. The new product comes at a time when lending to the private sector is recovering after a period of subdued growth during the capping of commercial bank interest rates.
We've just concluded the SME conference this week, Monday, Tuesday, and these are some of the things that came out quite strongly in that conference, that the SMEs will look forward to a lot of support in terms of financing that makes sense for them.
The model that we sold for 22 years, which has made history in this country, the FH215, we've sold about 14,500 units, and that has been a record even for Fuso outside Japan, that Kenya is the only country where one model was assembled locally and sold in the number of 14,500.
Elsewhere, Sports and Culture Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed is calling on policy and lawmakers to give priority to policies and legislation that empower young people and accelerate progress for girls' education. She spoke during an event to honor Dr. Stella Busire with a Commonwealth Point of Light Award for volunteering to champion sexual and reproductive health and rights. The award was presented by the British High Commission on behalf of the Queen of England.
Empowering young girls and young people in general is the best investment for our future. So collectively, we can achieve all this through cross-ministerial coordination, which is the collaboration of different ministries, education, health, interior, and hopefully soon enough sports, in the development of policies for girls' education.
Studies show that if women had the same role in labour markets as men, and my figures say up to an estimated £20 trillion, or 26% could be added to the global GDP in 2025. No country can afford not to include women in its economy.
I am worried about the normalization of some of the vices that are happening within the society, key among them female genital mutilation. Right now, we are having clinicians providing for the services, which is one, archaic. Number two, it takes away the dignity from the women. And number three, it brings in complications around their reproductive system. And yet we are okay with that because we have sanctified it. We have normalized how women are dying. We're losing 500,000 women every year because of access to unsafe abortion services.
Very important points there raised by Dr. Stella Busire, and congratulations to her for winning the Commonwealth Point of Light Award awarded by the Queen. Now to other stories, security matters. 5 selected or suspected criminal gang members on Wednesday killed after they attacked and maimed over 10 people in Shomoroni and Junda areas of Kisauni constituency, Mombasa County. Police say the 5 were waylaid by police when they were out attacking and robbing a residence. Kevin Mutai with more.
At around 6 p.m. Wednesday, a group of more than 10 boys armed with machetes and other crude weapons descended on the residence of Mishomoroni and Junda in Kisauni, injuring at least 10 people. Most of the victims of their brutal attack sustained panga cuts on different parts of their bodies. Residents raised an alarm when they saw the suspected members of the Wakali Kwanza criminal gang attacking a woman operating an M-Pesa shop in Mishomoroni.
Fika pale kwa kona naona vijana kama wanakuja na wamefunga macho, wamefunga na kitambaa.
Kugeuka nikakutana nao face to face, wameinua mapanga yao juu. Nikasema la ilaha illallah, toa pesa. Wananiambia nitoe pesa. Nikamwambia mimi nina shilingi 30 nilikuwa nimekuja dukani kununua vitu, unaona. Nikamwambia mimi sina pesa. Mmoja akatamka akasema huyu mama hana pesa, alikuwa amekuja dukani.
Police officers in patrol swung into action and killed 2 members of the gang. Angry residents, on the other hand, also apprehended 3 other suspects whom they reportedly lynched. According to witnesses, some of the criminals escaped into the darkness after the attack.
Ni vijana ambao wanasumbua hapa. So wakauliwa jana, alikuwa naiba somewhere. So mob wakammaliza jana. So mazishi ilikuwa ni leo hapa upande wa Junda. Ndio hao vijana wakaitana kutoka pembe zote za Mombasa wakaja mazishi. So after mazishi ndio wakaanza furugu, wakaanza kukatakata watu.
According to the authorities, the gang is believed to have launched the attack in retaliation after one of their members was killed by police on Tuesday. Police have since launched a crackdown on the remaining gangsters who are believed to be in their hideouts within Kisauni.
They're just small children. Some small children when range from 15, 14 to 18 up, and they're very short.
The victims were rushed to the nearest hospitals and have all been discharged after receiving treatment.
It's like walikuwa kwa mbio. So watatu, mmoja kanikata kwa kichwa, mmoja kanitoa kunipiga kwa mgongo, mwingine akanyang'anya bagi akikimbia, au wengine akanipiga mateko akakimbia.
Ghafla kutokea watu vichochoroni, hata sikujua wametoka vipi. Walikuwa kama 20. Sasa nikajaribu kung'ang'ana nao, nafanya kushtukia tayari wamenikata kichwa tayari kwa mapanga. Ndio mimi nikapata nafasi kabidi nikimbie, kukimbia nikaokolewa na kazini yangu mwingine alikuwa yuko na pikipiki.
Kulivyotokezea wakaanza kutakata watu ambapo sasa hakuna hata sababu na haulizi lolote, ni kule kukata na kukimbia.
The 5 bodies are lying at the Coast General Hospital. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Over to Sean Cadavillas with the latest from the sporting world.
Thank you very much, Gladys. A very good afternoon to you. Now, Manchester City produced a stunning late fight back to secure a memorable 2-1 win at Real Madrid and take control of their Champions League last 16 tie. Meanwhile, Olympic Lyon produced a spirited display to take a surprise 1-0 lead in their clash with Juventus.
That has done it.
A Gabriel Jesus header and a cool penalty from Kevin De Bruyne.